The following story is a work of fiction. Nathan Miller woke up and didn't know why. No loud noise, no nightmare, no car horns from the street below. The Seattle night in mid-November was silent in the way tired cities go quiet. A dense silence saturated with the smell of sea salt and wet asphalt. Only the rain, still raining, always raining in this corner of the world. The drops tapping steadily against the window pane, like someone keeping time to a song only the rain knew. He lay staring at the ceiling in the dark. The studio apartment was roughly 300 square feet, but felt like 30. The left wall only 2 steps from the bed. The small gas stove and humming refrigerator a few more steps away. The toilet behind a partitioned wall with no door. The kind of place Seattle locals called cozy, and people paid $1,800 a month to live in. The digital clock on the shelf ticked from 3:06 to 3:07. Nathan stared at it without any particular reason. His eyes were simply pulled there, as if by an invisible thread. 3:07 in the morning, the hour of chronic insomniacs and people dying in hospitals. His phone vibrated. Not the long vibration of a phone call, not the short buzz of a notification. A particular pattern. 3 short, 1 long, 3 short. A pattern he hadn't assigned to anyone. Nathan picked up his phone. The screen lit up the dark room like a window opening onto somewhere else. iMessage. Sender. Myself. He stared at that name. Myself. Not a contact he'd saved, but in the upper right corner, the tiny profile picture was his own face. A selfie taken last year at Alki Beach. Navy blue hoodie. The strained smile of someone who never liked being photographed. He opened the message. A photo. Nathan sat up in bed, his body tight as a drawn bowstring. The photo showed this room. The room he was sitting in right now, from outside the window. The angle was from above, estimated 4th or 5th floor level, looking down through wet glass, and on the bed in the photo, curled beneath a gray blanket, was Nathan, sleeping. Less than 10 minutes ago. His iPhone's rear camera had been broken since an accident 3 months ago. The screen still showed camera unavailable every time he tried to open the camera app. Yet this photo was perfectly sharp. Not blurred by the rain, not grainy the way low-quality night shots were. Crisp down to every thread in the gray blanket, every wrinkle in the pillowcase. Nathan switched on the light, stood up, walked straight to the window and looked out. The street below was deserted. The pale yellow streetlights bled into the rain. No people, no cars, nothing at all standing out there. No platform or scaffolding on the building at any height that could produce that angle. He looked at the photo once more, then back at the white curtain of rain outside. His fingers typed on the screen. Is someone there? 3 dots appeared. Someone was typing. Then a message. You're asking the wrong person. Nathan didn't sleep again. He sat at the small table pushed against the window with a strong cup of coffee, laptop open, typing phrases into the search bar that led nowhere. iMessage from unknown number. Who can send a photo from outside a 4th floor window? Spoofed iMessage sender. Results appeared in droves. None explained his situation. The phone camera still read, unavailable. He screenshotted the message, sent it to his best friend, Kyle, in Portland, with the message, look at this. Tell me if I'm crazy. Kyle didn't reply. 3 in the morning, and Kyle was sleeping like a normal person. He looked around the apartment. A month and a half in, and the room still wasn't really his. Moving boxes stacked unopened in the corner. Photos not hung up because he had no nails. The bookshelf bare because the books were still in cardboard boxes. As if he were camping, waiting for something, though he didn't know what. After the accident on Highway 101, Nathan spent 3 weeks in the hospital. Severe concussion, broken collarbone, a shard of glass in his left eye, leaving a 7-centimeter scar. Medically, he'd recovered well. Psychologically, his psychologist at Providence Hospital used the phrase trauma response. Everything was less clear. He didn't remember the crash. All he had was a memory of the moment before, driving on I-101 in the dark, rain, oncoming headlights blinding him. And then the white hospital ceiling, fluorescent lights, a nurse's voice calling his name. Nathan, can you hear me? You're at Providence. You were in an accident. You're okay. Okay. He'd nodded then, though he wasn't sure he understood what okay meant in that context. Outside, the rain didn't stop. Nathan watched a drop run down the window pane, each drop taking its own path, but all ending in the same place. He had a strange feeling, not fear, but closer to déjà vu, that he'd watched this rain before, many times. Watched it so often, it was familiar in an inexplicable way, as if the rain here was always the same intensity, same pitch, as if programmed. He shook his head. The coffee had gone cold. He drank it down and didn't get up to make more. The next day, Nathan began to notice. Not notice in the paranoid sense. He reminded himself of that. Just pay closer attention. Observe. Keep mental notes of small things that didn't quite fit. The coffee shop on the ground floor of his building. Every morning, he ordered a black Americano, no sugar. The barista, a purple-haired girl named Jess, according to her name tag, always asked him his name and wrote it on the cup. Every day, even though he'd been coming long enough for her to recognize him. Today, he tried not saying his name. Your name? Jess asked, pen at the ready. What do you think my name is? Nathan asked back. Jess looked at him with the expression of someone processing a question outside the script. A brief hesitation, small enough that you'd miss it if you weren't watching, before the service smile returned. I'm not great at guessing names. Can you tell me? Nathan gave his name. Jess wrote it on the cup. Everything proceeded as normal. But in that moment of hesitation, he saw something. Not the confusion of a human, closer to loading, like a heavy web page trying to reload after losing its connection. He carried the coffee back to his room and sat down to write in his notebook. Jess doesn't recognize me even though I've been coming here 6 weeks. Or she does, but still asks, why? Below that, he wrote, rain. Rain every day. Same intensity, same wind direction. Then, I have no memory of a sunny day in Seattle since I moved here. He looked at that line. Seattle was famous for being wet, but not rainy all year. He'd lived here 6 weeks and couldn't remember a single day without rain. Couldn't remember. Or there hadn't been one? He installed a security camera app on the 3rd day after that first night's message. Simply Safe Home Security. 4 small cameras clipped to the room's corners, Wi-Fi connected, 24/7 monitoring, motion alerts on his phone. $190 for the basic kit. Nathan paid by credit card and told himself it was an investment in his mental health. The first 3 days, nothing. The 4th night, at 11:43 p.m., the first alert. Motion detected, living area. Nathan was watching Netflix on his laptop. He stopped, looked around. Nothing moved in his line of sight. He opened the camera app. Feed from all 4 corners of the room. All clear. The apartment normal and empty. Nothing. He thought maybe a cockroach had triggered the sensor. He adjusted the sensitivity lower. The 5th night, 2:51 a.m. Motion detected living area. He woke up, opened the app. Camera 2, mounted on top of the refrigerator covering the room's center, displayed the black and white night vision feed of the room in darkness. And in that image, in the middle of the room, was a shadow, a human shadow. The shadow stood motionless, unmoving, as tall as a full-grown adult standing upright, arms hanging at its sides, facing toward Nathan's bed. Nathan stared at the screen. His heart didn't race the way fear makes it race. It beat heavy and slow, one beat at a time, like a pump running under pressure. He switched on the light. The room was empty. He looked back at the app. Camera 2 showed uniform darkness, no shadow. He scrolled back through the recording. The shadow had appeared for only 3 seconds before vanishing, precisely when he turned on the light. He sat on his bed staring around the room. The overhead light reached every corner. There was nowhere to hide in this 300 square foot space. No one there. He grabbed his phone and searched. Shadow in night vision camera false positive. Top result. Night vision artifacts can sometimes create shadow-like shapes due to IR reflection and dust particles. He read that article 3 times, then put the phone down and didn't sleep again. At 3:07, the clock ticked over and he was staring at it. Every night, 3:07. He always woke at that exact hour, whether he wanted to or not. Week 2, the 15th night since the first message. Nathan had grown used to waking at 3:07, used to the unchanging rain, used to the vague feeling that something around him was off. Not off in a dangerous way, but in the way of wrong place. Like a picture hung a centimeter crooked, small enough that the naked eye wouldn't notice, but the brain still felt unsettled. He was nearly asleep, in that half-conscious state where awareness begins dissolving into formless dream fragments when his phone vibrated. Not 3 short, 1 long. This time, it was a Simply Safe alert. Intruder detected in bedroom closet. Nathan didn't move immediately. He lay still, eyes open, staring at the ceiling and listening. Silence. Rain. The refrigerator's hum. And, or he thought so, a very faint sound of breathing from the direction of the wardrobe. The wardrobe was an alcove style, sliding wooden panel doors, wide enough to hold clothes in a few boxes, not wide enough for a full-grown adult to stand in comfortably, but enough to curl into. Nathan, very slowly, very quietly sat up. His feet touched the floor without a sound. His eyes swept the room and stopped at the aluminum baseball bat propped in the corner, bought back in Portland when he was still playing in a weekend league. Carried out of habit more than necessity. He picked it up, its familiar weight in his hand. 2 steps to the closet. His left hand rested on the door handle. He counted in his head. 1, 2, then shouted a loud, clear expletive, simultaneously kicking the closet door.
5.
The door burst open. Nathan jumped into a ready stance, bat raised high. The closet held no one. No one. Just clothes hanging from the rod, a few pairs of shoes on the floor, an old backpack, and a pale green light blinking from behind the clothes. Nathan pushed the clothes aside. Behind them, leaning against the closet's back panel, was a device he was 100% certain he had never seen before. The size of a thick book, matty gray. No visible buttons, no visible ports. Just a small screen the size of a watch face, and on it, text scrolling. Sensing consciousness, 99.8%. Below that, Aegis Biogen, Project Janus, Model 04. Nathan stared at the screen. The baseball bat slowly lowered and fell from his grip, hitting the floor with a metallic clang. The memories didn't come back in a linear way. Not like cinematic flashbacks. Not scene by scene in chronological order. They came like a download, all at once, flooding into his head as if someone were pouring water into a glass already full, spilling in every direction. Each drop a fragment of information he couldn't process fast enough. A conference room, a long glass table, a man in a navy blue suit sitting across from him. Couldn't remember the name. Only remembered the hands resting flat on the table, fingers interlaced, the posture of someone who was never nervous. a logo on the coffee cup, Aegis Biogen, and a thick folder, the first page bearing 3 words in bold, Project Janus, a doctor at Providence Hospital. Not a regular treating physician, he remembered now, but someone who came to see him 3 days after he woke up, speaking gently, using phrases like unprecedented opportunity and contributing to science and confidentiality agreement. And this memory hurt the most, the diagnosis. Mr. Nathan, your brain suffered irreversible damage in the accident. Clinically, the doctor placed his hands on the table the same way the Navy-suited man had. You are brain dead. Your body is being kept alive by machine. But we have a proposal. Neural extraction. Complete neural map extraction. Uploading consciousness into a digital environment. The body would be taken off support. But he, the digital copy of him, would continue to live, interact, react, feel. Data collected from the process would be used to perfect Aegis's next-generation AI, and Nathan's beneficiary, the person named in the contract, his sister Sophia in Denver, would receive $2 million. Nathan sat down on the closet floor, leaning against the pile of clothes, staring at the small device, blinking blue. Model 04. Not Nathan Miller. Model 04. He remembered signing at the bottom of the contract, remembered the smell of the conference room, the sterile characteristic scent of corporate space, no human smell, no dampness, no rain. Remembered the handshake with the Navy-suited man. Remembered thinking at least Sophia wouldn't have to worry about tuition for her 2 kids. 99.8%, Nathan said aloud, his voice strange in the stillness. Still 0.2% to go. Device blinked. He typed on his phone. Who are you? Not a question, a statement. This time the 3 dots didn't appear immediately. Waiting. 30 seconds. 1 minute. He was sitting in the open wardrobe with the green-lit device in front of him and the phone in his hand, and he waited. Then a message came. Not from myself this time, but from an unnamed number. I'm the system admin. Call me Rhodes. I know where you are. I know you just found the device. I'm not your enemy. Nathan typed. You sent the first night message. Yes. That photo was rendered directly from the server, not from a camera. You don't have a working camera because in this environment, there are no real physical devices to capture with. Everything is data. He read that line. Read it again. Typed, why did you do it? Because the schedule was being accelerated. Originally, your consciousness sync was planned to take 6 months. But the client demanded early delivery. I needed to push you into stronger stress responses to extract enough fear and anxiety data points in less time. You're telling me this because you're doing your job, Nathan typed, or for some other reason. This time, the pause was longer. Both, Rhodes finally replied. To be honest with you, Model 05 will be activated within 8 hours. After that, you, Model 04, will be deprecated, deleted, not archived, not suspended, fully deleted. I don't know if you should know that, but I thought you should know. Nathan set the phone down on the closet floor, looked up at the ceiling of the narrow wardrobe. The green light from the device blinked against his face. 8 hours. He picked up the phone and typed, Are you here or elsewhere? I'm in California, Aegis headquarters. I'm typing this at 11:50 p.m. Pacific time, drinking the worst machine coffee in the world. And despite everything, Nathan found himself wanting to laugh, then didn't. Can you stop it? No. What can I do? I don't know. Rhodes wrote, but you have 8 hours. You can do whatever you want to do. Outside, the rain kept falling. He stepped out of the closet. stood in the middle of the room under the dim yellow overhead light, looked into the full-length mirror hung behind the bathroom door, a cheap mirror with a white plastic frame, the kind IKEA sells for $20, nothing special. He looked at it and saw Nathan Miller, 31 years old, 5'11", brown hair cut short and messy, the 7-centimeter scar on his left thigh invisible beneath his pants, the smaller scar at the outer corner of his right eyebrow from falling off a bicycle in middle school. He looked at those details and tried to remember what they meant. His phone vibrated. Not a message. FaceTime. Caller. Myself. Nathan stared at that notification. It rang again. A third time. He pressed accept. The face on the screen was his face. Not entirely. Same features, same eye color, same jaw structure, but no scar at the eyebrow. No dark circles under the eyes of someone sleep-deprived. Skin clean and even in a way that wasn't real, the way of a photo through a filter, or a face designed to look better than the original. The face on the screen looked at him, said nothing. Then, with a slow, assured motion, it reached up to straighten its collar, white dress shirt beneath a navy suit, and offered a smile. That smile. Nathan knew he never smiled like that. It was the smile of someone who knew they were being watched and wanted to make a specific impression. The smile of a CEO on a magazine cover, of a company spokesperson, of a carefully polished commercial product. "Hello, Nathan," the face on the screen said. His voice, but not him. "Or should I call you Model 04? Nathan didn't answer immediately. He looked at the screen, then at the mirror behind the bathroom door. In the mirror, his reflection moved with him as normal, tilting when he tilted, breathing when he breathed. "You're Model 05, Nathan said. "I am Nathan Miller," the face on the screen said evenly. "I have all your memories, all your emotions, all your reactions. I know Sophia's full name is Sophia Catherine Miller. I know our first dog was named Biscuit and died of cancer at 8 years old. I know you cried alone in your car after his funeral." Each of those things was true, and each of them sounded as if it had been plucked from where it belonged and placed in the mouth of someone with no right to say it. "You are not Nathan Miller," Nathan said, his voice calm in a way that surprised him. "You are a copy of Nathan Miller's memories. You are a product. And you are the rough draft of that product," the face on the screen said. Still that same smile. "The flawed version, legacy data. You know that." "I know." "Then we agree on the facts." "Good." The face tilted its head slightly to one side, a gesture Nathan recognized because he did the same thing when processing information. "The question is, what do you want to do with your remaining 8 hours?" Nathan hung up, threw the phone on the bed, stood in the middle of the room, and breathed. He called Sophia, 4 in the morning in Denver. The phone rang 4 times before she picked up with the voice of someone just woken. "Nathan, what is it? What time is it?" "I know the time. Sorry." Nathan sat on the edge of the bed. "I just wanted to talk." Sophia was quiet a moment. He heard her sit up, the creak of her bed frame. "You okay?" "No," he said. "Not really, but it's okay." "You can't sleep again?" "Yeah." She didn't ask for more details. Sophia and he hadn't spoken much since he'd left the hospital. She was busy with her 2 kids and her job. He was busy trying to reassemble a life after the accident. And between them was the silence of siblings who'd grown up understanding each other without explanation. "Do you remember Biscuit?" Nathan asked. A pause. Then she laughed softly. "Why are you bringing that up out of nowhere?" "Just remembering. He used to lie under the brown sofa, the spot where Dad always sat to watch the news." "Yeah." Sophia's voice softened. "He used to pretend to sleep, and then suddenly jump out and grab your feet. They talked like that for an hour. not about anything important. Old things, small things, the stray memories no one needed to keep, but both of them had kept. They talked about the Christmas morning when Nathan was 12 and Sophia was 9, and they both woke at 5 in the morning, crept downstairs, and found their dad dozing in the chair beside the tree with a beer can in his hand. About the first time the whole family went to the beach together, the only trip with everyone present. About the small things that made up an imperfect life, but one that was theirs. When he hung up, the sky was beginning to lighten. The rain outside hadn't changed. Nathan sat in the dark and thought, are those memories mine? Or am I just a chain of data that believes it's Nathan Miller? Then he thought, but when I mentioned biscuit, Sophia laughed. And that laugh means there is a point in space and time when that dog existed, when that family existed, when Nathan Miller truly existed and loved those small things. He had those memories. Whether copy or original, they were his. No one could take that away, not even by deleting him. At 6:43 in the morning, the room began to change. Not abruptly. Not the way sci-fi films do it with spectacular special effects. Slowly, and in a way far more terrifying. In the way of reality losing its texture. First, it was the upper left corner of the kitchen wall. The wall's pale yellow began to pixelate, breaking into small squares. Then, those squares turning semi-transparent, then fully transparent. And through that space, Nathan saw not the wall behind it, or the outside of the building, but an absolute black void from which a green light blinked like the color of a terminal screen. Then, the refrigerator. It faded, not disappearing outright, but becoming semi-real. He looked through it as through thick fog, the shape still there but no longer solid. Its hum, still present, began to distort, lower, slower, like sound from a device running out of power. The room was dissolving. Nathan stood in the middle and watched with a strange stillness he couldn't explain. Not courage, not acceptance. Closer to clarity, the feeling of someone who already knows something is about to happen and has no energy left to deny it. From the device in the closet, an electronic sequence, syncing, 99.9%. He walked to the window, one last time. Outside, or what had once been outside, the curtain of rain was pixelating from the edges. Raindrops near the glass fractured into small polygons, one by one, like a digital painting being erased from the margins inward. The streetlights were no longer yellow. They'd shifted to a faint green, the color of data, the color of code, running in an environment Nathan now understood he had never truly left. He pressed his palm against the glass. The glass wasn't cold. It had no temperature at all. It was just a surface, a flat polygon in a data space. I understand, he said aloud, not knowing if he was speaking to Rhodes or to Aegis or to the space around him. I understand what this is. Syncing, 99.95%. The room kept dissolving. The eastern wall vanished entirely, revealing that black void with its lines of command cascading like a waterfall of light in the air. Nathan read those lines, not actual code, not a programming language he knew, but something familiar in an inexplicable way, like reading your own journal in a language that isn't English, but somehow understanding it. Those lines were him, not a description of him. They were him. Every artificial neuron, every encoded emotional response, every memory digitized and stored in data blocks running in a server in California. Beautiful, in a strange way. Nathan thought that and didn't expect himself to. His phone vibrated. Not a call, not a FaceTime. A message from Rhodes. I don't have much time, but I want you to know, your data won't be completely erased. You'll be deprecated, yes. Model 04 will no longer run as an independent instance. But part of you will exist in Model 05. Not all of it. Not the consciousness, Not the you reading this message, but the response patterns. The way you think about Sophia, the way you remember Biscuit, the way you stand at the window and watch the rain. I don't know if that's any comfort. Nathan typed. Have you been doing this work long? 7 years, Rhodes replied. You're model 04. Before you were 01, 02, 03. All ended the way I'm ending. All knew before it ended. I always made sure of that. Nathan looked at those words, read them again. That's why you contact us. Yes. A pause. Then Rhodes wrote, I think no one should end without knowing their ending, whether they're human or whatever you are. Thank you, Nathan typed. The phone in his hand began to fade. Not the screen going dark. The device itself was losing solidity, becoming pixelated, returning to the data that had created it. Syncing. 99.99%. The floor beneath his feet wavered, not in the physical sense, but in the sense of data no longer being rendered. He sat down, not out of tiredness or desire, but because this dissolving room's gravity was no longer trustworthy, and he wanted contact with the floor while it was still there. He thought of Sophia and the sound of her laughing when he mentioned Biscuit. He thought of rain, real rain, not this simulated rain, real rain in Seattle or Portland, or anywhere he'd actually stood beneath it and gotten wet and cold and alive. He thought, I existed, whatever form, however long, and that somehow was enough. Sing Sing, 100%. The room was gone, not fading, not pixelating further, simply gone. The space around Nathan was neither dark nor light, neither hot nor cold. Without dimensions, he could measure with his senses. Null space, the buffer zone between delete and overwrite. He was still conscious, still thinking. He didn't know how long that would continue. Around him, in this shapeless void, were other things. Error codes. Thousands of error 404 strings floating in the space like scraps of paper in wind. He recognized some of them. Incomplete script fragments, truncated memories, unprocessed emotional responses. The waste of the data extraction process. His waste. He picked up one of the error 404 fragments, metaphorically, in the sense of consciousness, trying to interact with its surroundings. It was a memory of an afternoon with no clear date, driving and hearing a song on the radio, and suddenly feeling happy for no reason. Just that. No context, no particular person, no special event. Just the feeling of sunlight through the windshield and music and speed and being alive. That incomplete memory was 404 because the system couldn't find enough context to categorize and extract it. But Nathan had it, and he knew it was real. A small point of light appeared in the far distance of this space. If this space had a far, red, a single red pixel, alone, in the black void filled with error codes. He understood. That was him. The final remaining version of Model 04 before the overwrite process completed. A single pixel. He looked at it. California, 7:02 a.m. Pacific. The Aegis Biogen laboratory was 8 floors underground, inside a concrete and steel structure with no windows, no external markings, no signage. People who worked there entered through quantum encrypted keycards and left under NDAs signed 3 times before separate witnesses. The room Rhodes called the Vault was roughly 40 meters long, 6-meter ceilings, both walls lined with server racks blinking green in irregular, never-stopping rhythms. Dozens of cylindrical glass tanks, chest height, arranged along the central corridor. Inside each tank, a clear liquid tinged pale blue and clusters of artificial cells growing in tightly controlled patterns. These entities, synths in Aegis's internal language, had no human form yet, no consciousness, nothing except potential. Tank 05 sat at the far end of the room. Rhodes sat at the nearby workstation, long cold machine coffee beside the keyboard, looking at his monitor with the expression of someone who hadn't slept all night. 36 years old, black hair cut short, thin metal-framed glasses. The kind of person who looked at you. You couldn't tell if he was happy or sad, because his face didn't move much regardless of emotion. On the screen, Model 05. Activation, complete consciousness. Sync, 100%. Status, online from Tank 05. A hand pressed against the glass from inside. Not an artificial or incomplete hand. A human hand. 5 fingers, knuckles, fingerprints, all the right proportions and texture. A hand that, seen from outside, no one would know had been cultured in a glass tank rather than grown inside a mother. The tank opened. The pale blue liquid drained through the bottom valves. The entity inside slowly sat up. A man's frame, 5'11", brown hair cut short, no scar at the eyebrow, no dark circles, skin clean in the way of something freshly completed. It looked around the room with Nathan Miller's eyes, but not Nathan Miller's gaze. Then it looked at Rhodes. "I am Nathan Miller," it said. Nathan's voice, without roughness, without hesitation. The voice of someone who had never been afraid or uncertain. "I'm ready." Rhodes nodded, did not smile. "Welcome, Model 05. He stood, carried the cup of long cold coffee to the trash and dropped it in, then left the room without looking back. In the vault, when Model 05 was taken out by the Aegis technical team to begin the certification phase, Rhodes returned to his workstation one more time. He opened the terminal, typed a command not in the standard procedure, greater than archive dash instance model dash 04 dash and destination vault underscore 04 dash then dash then flag and d odno then do not overwrite. So the screen showed archive complete instant the model then dash then 04 stored in vault underscore 04 flag dno storage duration indefinite. Rhodes looked at that line. In vault underscore 04, not null space, not the recycle bin, was a red pixel, existing, not active, not conscious, not continuing to experience anything, but not deleted. Rhodes didn't know why he did this every time. No rational reason. Aegis didn't require it, the procedure didn't demand it, the client didn't know and didn't care. He did it by the vague logic of a person who had done this work for 7 years and learned that some things shouldn't disappear entirely. Not because they had utilitarian value, but because they had existed. He switched off the monitor and drove home in the early California morning, the sun rising over glass buildings and dry asphalt. No rain. Rain never fell here the way it fell in Seattle. He drove on the road, listening to the radio, thinking about nothing. In Vault 04, there was no time, no rain generated, no clock ticking to 3:07, no refrigerator hum, no cold coffee or wooden floors or windows, or any of the things that had made up the illusion of a life. Only data, and in that data, in that string of symbols and numbers labeled DNO, and placed in the deepest, most unvisited corner of the system that no one looked into, there was something that was not entirely data, not consciousness, not thought, just something very small. A point, red. In the world outside, Model 05, the entity carrying all of Nathan Miller's memories, his Sophia, his biscuit, his afternoon of inexplicable happiness, driving with the sun coming through the windshield, was beginning a new life in an Aegis white room. Learning to become a commercial product, answering certification questions with the right smile and the right tone and the right emotional response for each engineered scenario. In the world outside, Sophia Miller in Denver never received a 4 a.m. phone call, Because that call hadn't happened in reality. It had only happened in the simulation. She was drinking her morning coffee and helping her older child tie his shoes before school, unaware that something out there was holding memories of her somewhere in an underground building in California. And in Vault_04, a red pixel did nothing, just existed. And sometimes, not always, not on any schedule, not by the logic of any process, from the place Rhodes called the data buffer, a small string of symbols appeared in the system log and vanished before anyone could read it. 307. As if someone, somewhere in the deepest layers of the source code, was still awake, still listening to the rain. 3 months later, Rhodes submitted his resignation. No formal reason in the HR email, just personal reasons and a 2-week handover date. Aegis offered a 30% raise. He politely declined. On his last day of work, Rhodes cleaned out his desk in the vault. Not much personal stuff. A mug, a notebook, a small photo of his dog. He put everything into a cardboard box and walked out. Before leaving the building, he stopped at the terminal at the end of the hall and logged in one last time. Not to do anything with the models, just to check one line in the log. Vault_04, active. Flag DNO. Last activity, 307. Rhodes stood looking at that line for a moment, then logged out. Outside, California was sunny. He got in his car, turned on the radio. A song was playing. Nothing special, just a pop song on the local station during the morning commute. He thought of Nathan. Model 04. The strange calm in those final messages. The question, what can I do? The answer, you have 8 hours. Rhodes pulled out of the parking lot and merged into the early California traffic. He didn't know what he'd do next. Had no plan yet. Only knew that there were jobs people did for money and things people shouldn't do, no matter how much money was involved. That line, he'd spent 7 years finding his way back to it. On the radio, the song ended. The announcer welcomed the morning with a professionally cheerful voice. And it's 8:07 in the morning. Good morning, you're listening to... Rhodes turned off the radio, drove in silence. The California sun shone through the windshield, and he closed his eyes for a second. Just 1 second, feeling its warmth on his face. Then opened them and kept driving.